Strengthen and stretch.
Strengthen.
Here we go. Strengthen and stretch.
Strengthen and stretch.
Okay, go.
I am feeling so strong right now.
Go.
Strengthen, stretch. Strengthen, stretch.
All right, guys. Cat Calm here with Studio Sweat on demand. Here with the crazy and lovely Bethany.
It is a little crazy today.
It's so crazy today. It's our Friday. I don't know what day it is where you are, but I have a question that came into us from a girl who went to school in Pennsylvania, and that's really all I know.
That's horrible.
I don't know. It's not. We love Pennsylvania.
It's cold. Have you been there?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, my best friend from high school lives there in Levittown, PA.
Wow.
Anyways, her name is Amanda Pfeffer. Not my friend from high school, but the girl that's asking this question. And she says, I was wondering if you had any advice you could give me. I recently joined SSOD and have been doing the spin classes. Since then, I'm starting to find I'm having some lower back pain. I know spin causes tightness in your glutes and IT band. It shouldn't, not if done right, okay? But we're still gonna answer your question because it's a fair question, and it is something that I understand started when you started to take the classes. So let's dial in on that. But am I doing something wrong or just not stretching enough? Any suggestions would be appreciated. Thanks. Let's talk about it.
Okay.
Number one, you got to check your bike setup. We have a video out there that's specific to setting up your indoor cycling or spinning bike, so I need you guys to check out that video. Okay, I'm sure, what's it called? Just bike setup.
Or is it the beginner spinner?
No.
No?
Though
Bike setup?
you can watch the beginner spinner, but there's a lot more in the beginner spinner than just bike setup. So we have like a 5-minute video out there that's just specific to your bike setup. So make sure your bike is set up properly. That's number one. If you're having lower back problems, the second thing I would suggest is that you raise the handlebars. And I'm pretty sure we even say that in our bike setup videos. So if you have any lower back problems, you're gonna take those handlebars a little higher than anyone who didn't have lower back problems might have the handlebars
And
set.
if you happen to have a newer bike, you also have that forward and aft position too, and you might want to bring them closer to you because you might be leaning too far forward and reaching.
Right, well, that's a good point, and that'll take me to the next thing that I would suggest. Make sure that when you're riding and you're in the saddle, that you're on the back of the saddle and that you're hinging forward from the hip line, not the rib cage. So what I mean, could I kick you out of here for a second?
Absolutely.
So let's say that I'm riding my bike. Hi, I'm riding my bike, right? All right, so the natural tendency for a lot of people, especially when they're newer, is to hinge from right here. And now my back's in a really bad position and shows all your rolls, so that's not good
And you're not
either.
getting good air in those lungs too, because you just collapsed them.
You've just collapsed your lungs. She's off camera, but she's made a really good point, right? So I'm gonna scoot to the back of my saddle or seat, okay? And then I'm gonna hinge forward from the hip line rather than from the rib cage. So I'm leaning this way and I've got all this length now. So look how much further forward my hands are than if I were to bend from here. See the difference? Okay, and it's obviously bad for your back because you're rounding it. I'm not saying that you have to get all sexy again, but you do want to keep a nice, flat, relaxed back. Okay, so hinge forward from the hips. Come back in, Bethany. So check that. Next thing, so that's things to do during your ride, okay? Also, if your instructor is having you do some hovers and you have hovers or the drop back move, it's controversial. Some places say yes, some places say no. Whatever trainer that you're working with, if they suggest you do a hover and you have a bad back, don't do it. Because it's not real great for your back if you have a bad back, okay? It just kind of gets your back in a bad position. Before your spin class, I would suggest that you warm up your back. Torso twists, and even doing stretches, dynamic stretches, where you go back and forth between an extended stretch and like for example, you could do.
Do you want to demo those?
Yeah, you could do a stretch. Ready? All right. You could do going back and forth between cobra this way. You know, do a couple of these to warm up that lower back, and then flip over and just do a couple of rounds like this.
What about the cat stretch beforehand, just to get blood down there and pumping and things moving? That's
a good idea. You guys know how to do cat pose. I'm not going to demonstrate that.
Yeah.
But anyway, so get that back warm with some dynamic stretches. Also, get your hips warm, okay? Even if you're just doing some, can you still see me? Even if you're doing some nice, gentle stretches, this is like a stationary hip flexor stretch, right? But if you just go like this, up and down a little bit on it, get that area warm, get your hips warm, because the hips are the #1 joint that we use on the bikes, and the hips and the lower back are completely tied together and related. So a lot of times when people think the problem is with their lower back, it's actually with their hip flexors, right? And so you got to give those special attention. So get them warm before class, your hips and your back. All right, so we talked about what to do during class. We talked about what to do before class. After class, yes, you want to stretch those areas that are bothering you out. So that means you're going to stretch what 2 areas in particular?
Oh, I would stretch my hamstrings. I would
Hamstrings
stretch my
can be
quads.
tight.
I would stretch my lower back again.
Hip flexors is what she meant to say too. So yeah, so we're going to...
Well, I mean, I would just re-stretch. Why not re-stretch everything?
Yeah, but in particular, if you have those lower back problems, you're going to be thinking specifically about stretching out those hip flexors and, of course, your lower back. Another problem that you might be having, if you're experiencing this tightness in your lower back might be weak. Okay, so you might have short, tight hip flexors, your lower back might not be strong enough. So make sure, you know, at least 3 times a week to be doing some strengthening exercises for your lower back. There's Superman, there's Swimmer, anything where you're on your stomach and you're trying to elevate your chest off the ground. Those exercises, back extensions and stuff like that. Strengthen that lower back, stretch your hamstrings, stretch your hips, and stretch your IT band. Interestingly enough,
Foam roller.
Yeah, let me talk about the IT band and then I'm going to talk to you. That's a good point about foam rolling.
I'm gonna talk to you.
Did you know, and I learned this fairly recently, I've been doing this a long time, the IT band itself actually cannot be stretched. It's like a rope.
Yeah.
Okay, you can't stretch it, but you can stretch everything that it ties into. So you want to, and what's that going to be? Like that's going to be your hips, right? So you can feel like you're stretching it, but you're actually not lengthening the IT band.
And it doesn't really feel good either.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
But can you do myofascial release? Yes, with your foam roller? Yes. Absolutely. So I want you guys to, and you can look up videos, we don't need to put it all in here, but you guys should look up those releases using your foam roller specific to your IT band, hip flexors, and glutes.
Yes.
Okay, so look up those releases. They're incredibly important. When you do those releases using the foam roller, it's supposed to hurt to the point to where you almost throw up.
That sounds like so much fun.
You know what? Let's
can't
get
wait
it and
to
do
go
it right
home and
now.
do that.
No, but then once it does release, once the muscle actually releases, and you hold that foam roller on the spot where it hurts the most. So you don't just, I know it's called the foam roller, and the idea is to roll from the origin to the insertion point and all that kind of good stuff, but you do want to stop and hold it where it really hurts because that's the spot that needs release, and you'll usually feel it kind of go and release, and then
this will take time, so don't just like you jump on your foam roller and be like, okay, other side, okay.
Why am I not all
it
better?
takes time.
Now with your foam rolling and your stretches, you want to, especially if you're having any problems like Amanda is, you guys need to hold those for a good 60 seconds. Okay. All right. Do you have anything else to add?
Yeah, what about like icing and heating or anything like that, like a heating pad or icing it after or before, or what do you think on that?
It's so interesting because when it comes to ice and heat, it's one of those things that is constantly changing as far as the opinion of the professionals out there. The general thinking is you heat something beforehand. You know, like if it's your lower back, I'm going to put some heat on maybe my lower back and my hips before, and then afterwards I'm going to ice. But there's a lot of controversy about ice even right now because that's saying that if you ice something, you're not letting the body naturally heal, and it's going to take longer to heal. But there's lots of different theories on that, and I'm going to stay away from it.
Well then.
Do what makes you feel good. How
There
about
you
that? Do what makes you feel good. All right, but what you don't want to do is stop your workout routine. You just need to find that workout routine that works for you.
Yes.
And some of the most amazing workouts that you can find out there are obviously on Studio Sweat On Demand.